everybody for my last little project that I want to do today. It is Nazi time. This stupid son of a bitch has been back in the news recently. A lot of leftists don't want to bite the bullet and call Jordan Peterson a Nazi, but Jordan Peterson is a Nazi, dude. He has all the classic white nationalist thoughts and talking points against all minority people. He's very economically far right. This dude is a terrible piece of shit. And we can take a look at this speech from a few years ago where he essentially was defending Adolf Hitler.
Happened in Nazi Germany. So when Hitler came to power, he was very interested in public health campaigns. And so he formulated a number of policies, including formulating these vans that went around screening people for tuberculosis. At the same time, he announced a policy to beautify and purify Germany. And so he encouraged the factory owners.
Jewish people, if you ever be in my audience, that little smirk I just did is just a bad habit that when somebody says like some real Nazi shit, I laugh a little bit because that was fucking ridiculous, and I already just done had enough of him talking about Hitler cared about the hygiene of his country or whatever. So are you trying to say that Jewish people are pests or vermin or something like that? Like, fuck you for saying that. Let me see something real fast. I know I did I made a playlist or something like that. I'm trying to find my library so I can look at these things, or maybe I just gotta look at it the hard way. Oh well, we do it the hard way. Fuck it. Y'all gonna see some of my watch history. I don't really care. It is what it is, man. Hit up some of them songs I've been listening to while I've been working. Social Distortion is a great band. He recently took his boneheaded ass. And I gotta put this out there. Jordan Peterson is stupid. He's literally one of the dumbest people walking on the earth. And I never really understand why people got any respect for him, man. Because he's just fucking stupid. I guess it's probably because he moves his hands a lot. And he got that weird voice thing going on that people think he's smart when he talk and he promote these white supremacist talking points.
So one part is, this is very, very cool. So when Arthur first grips the sword, he's blown off it. Now he can pull it out of the stone because he's the guy. He's the long lost son of the rightful king. Long lost. You said, well, wasn't everybody opposing the tyranny of the times? It's like, yeah, welcome to the world, man. Welcome to the world. We're all long-lost sons of the rightful king. And the king's now a tyrant. And don't we have to deal with that? And the answer is, bloody well right we do. So Arthur, who's got his eyes open, and he's born in straitened circumstances and has to grow up street smart, and his friends are all funny, and they engage in witty repartee, and he knows the world from the ground up, grabs the sword, he can pull it out of the stone, but he's blown right off it. He can't wield it because he has visions of his evil uncle who conspired with feminine forces of chaos and killed his father, murdered his father and his mother. So his uncle is a murderer. His uncle's a murderer. Well, so is your uncle. And so is my uncle. That's our historical guilt that the lefties weaponize all the time. It's like the soil we walk on is soaked with blood.
That's not the point. No, it is not, bro. No, it is not. People don't weaponize, because that's how he tricks so many white people into following him, and even some black people do. That is not what white privilege is, or, people critiquing the history of the United States or Western countries is not about putting the weight of white people's forefathers on them. What lefties want to do is make the system more equal today, not by taking power away from white people, but making sure all ships rise at once.
And Arthur can't wield the sword that's his rightfully because he has visions of historical atrocity. It's like, welcome to the world, man. It's like, how do you know your masculine ambition isn't part of the world destroying force? Because yes, it is. So then why, when I accuse you of racism and so forth, and your white privilege and your masculine privilege, like, why don't you just
That's because, bitch, those things are fucking real. That's what I'm saying, dog. This dude is so fucking retarded. Excuse my language, the R slur. But this dude is so fucking stupid, dog. Like, honestly, I don't understand why people take him like he's some serious, like, intellectual powerhouse. Because white privilege is a thing. When you walking down the street downtown late at night in the summertime or something like that, you're more likely, or driving even in the daytime, you're more likely to be pulled over than a black than a white person if you're black or you're Latino or you're colored in any way or another, man. If you are a woman walking on a college campus, there's a good chance that she could be a victim of sexual assault trying to walk from one dorm to another. These are problems, and there are ways where you being something instead of being something else. You see, I'm gonna move my hands a lot too, so I look smart. Grants you privilege over other people, and I should have, I could use so many, especially for white privilege. Like, a white person is more likely to get hired for a job than a black person, despite people that, and that's why they gotta have affirmative action. Despite people like him bitching about it, it's still the white person's application is still more likely than to be accepted than a person with a black sounding name. So there is problems in society where certain people are excluded because of immutable characteristics, whether it be race or gender identity or even being gay.
off in a corner and feel terrible and apologize? And the answer is, you probably will.
Nobody asks people to apologize for being white.
Because most people do. You don't, but most people do. And I know why. Partly because they're reasonable. If 30 people come after you and say, you're a racist tyrant,
they just talking to you.
And there's 30 of them, you go home and you think, well, 30 people think I'm a racist tyrant. And like, I got my flaws, man. And I might be a little racist because we all have in-group preferences and I shoot my mouth.
There's a difference between having in-group preferences and being a fucking racist, dog.
Sometimes, and I haven't always been the way with women that I should be, and maybe I've mistreated some people, and maybe I did it too much, and sorry. And then you're a shell, right? Another mob comes for you. It doesn't work at all.
Oh, come on, dude. Get the fuck out of here. Thank you. That's the end of that video. So yeah, really smog brain guy, dude. And I also wanted to check out this other take that he had. I'm going to just skip the other one because I got like a main event sitting right here. And he got kind of personal with me because I'm a union worker. I work 6 days a week and I don't necessarily eat the best.
Can I bring you back to this though? What kind of an environment were those monkeys in? Are they in a cage?
They were in a cage, but it was a large cage.
How
The
big
cage
is
wasn't
large?
stressing them. It's not much more surprising than saying some people are born more anxious than other people.
Can I bring you back?
Let me see real fast. Can I find it? Yes, we can. Here it is.
The reason the eradication of that conflict has been beneficial is because they're not doing unbelievably stupid and counterproductive things at the policy level.
Let's go all the way down here.
Between the communists and the capitalists. And most of the reason the eradication of that conflict has been beneficial is because they're not doing
The USSR and China are not thought of as truly socialist or communist countries anyway. But go off.
unbelievably stupid and counterproductive things at the policy level. They're letting markets flourish to at least a limited degree. And people aren't, I talked to some people. I was in Washington for a week last week, and I talked to some people who are working with UN committee that's prime goal is the eradication of hunger. Well, there isn't any hunger in the world anymore that isn't caused by political conflict.
No, it's a lot of hunger that's caused by profit motive. At least 9 million people a year die from starvation. And we have more than enough food to feed everybody on the planet. But it's because of people like you, they rather throw bleach on it or burn it.
Everyone has enough to eat. In fact, it's so interesting that one of the emerging problems, especially among the poor all over the world, is that they have too much to eat.
No, you jackass. Poor and working class people are more likely to eat fast food or, TV dinner meals. And, people like me, I skate. So I'm able to keep off those pounds and those calories. Plus, I got a fast metabolism. But everybody isn't so lucky. So after eating all this McDonald's, Wendy's, KFC, and banquet TV dinners, a lot of people just gain weight. It's not because they're healthy. It's because they just got to eat unhealthy to make sure they have enough time in between working and free time to get a meal in or two.
And so we're seeing diseases of affluence replace diseases of privation. And you think, isn't that too bad? These Western diets, and, fair enough, but you want to be fat or dead? And fat's better. And
you can wind up dead from being fat. It's a lot of health problems that come with being fat. You can get sugar diabetes, high blood pressure, and in many more problems that you're more likely to get arthritis and all type of shit. And I don't really understand you just like that went over your head. You okay, dog?
Fat isn't optimal, let's say, but it beats the hell out of dead.
Well, how many people starve to death
now?
In the world? Yeah,
almost none. And
let's look that
up.
Please look it up. And by the way, fuck Joe Rogan. I have no respect for him. He's a whole nother can of worms that we have to go over. And usually I split videos, but I saw somebody that inspired me to start doing this go over this video earlier by this motherfucker. Well, it's nothing that we love more on this channel than one of the good ones. The people that will sell out their own people to be accepted by, the majority.
Welcome back to my channel. I'm feeling very virginal in this outfit today. I'm feeling very much like, a bride being given off to her husband, or a bride of Chucky, depending on if you fucking hate me. Let's get into it. Ethan Klein, also known as H3H3, which sounds like a highly infectious STD, has been going off recently.
You should know.
On two particular individuals, Jordan Peterson and Joe Rogan. We're going to split this video into two halves. The first half talking about his attacks, although I would say they're more like brutal self-owns launched toward Jordan Peterson, and the second half will be his brutal self-owns on Joe Rogan. Ethan went off on Jordan Peterson on Twitter recently, and it really rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah, because fuck Joe, look at that. Yeah, because fuck Jordan Peterson.
Have chafing just from reading these tweets. He also went back and deleted videos of an interview he did with Jordan Peterson from years.
Because fuck Jordan Peterson.
Back, in my opinion,
it's called changing, bro. Maybe he don't like Jordan Peterson anymore, because I heard that this H3H3 guy had went on a political journey and he changed his political opinions, and he realized that Jordan Peterson is a dangerous white nationalist ideologue spreading misinformation and hatred.
Out of the fear of being canceled by his own woke audience, which he does pander to, which he does and has cultivated throughout the years.
So
because Ethan, in my opinion, as sort of like a casual, every once in a while viewer of his stuff, is definitely one of those people who shapeshifts into whatever is trendy and socially acceptable at the time.
No, he just changed his opinion over the years. I went through this too. I used to watch this channel, but now I hate your damn guts. People can learn that you people lie and selectively misinform people and go and get to the point where they are anti-conservative or anti-fascist. People can change their political opinions over the years. People don't have to stay the way that you want them to because it benefits your political opinions.
In terms of his content, he used to be way edgier.
I love that I can just say though. I love saying
way more anti-SJW, anti-woke, whatever you want to call it.
Maybe he grew the fuck up and he see how that stuff is harmful and how it actually hurts people.
whatever label you want to put on it. And now he's definitely the exact opposite. When it was more popular and trendy to be anti-SJW, edgy, whatever, you can bet your ass he was that. And now that it's more popular to be woke and super politically correct, you can bet your ass he's that. And these types of people always give the excuse of, well, I've evolved, I've grown, I've learned more. It's funny how they always evolve, grow, and learn more in the exact direction that gets them more popularity or is more socially acceptable, never in the opposite way. Like, they never all of a sudden have more controversial
Just like I said in this
or
one video that I'm going to upload, is because it's called being a self-introspective person. Number one, you can see the dangers of those so-called right-wing anti-SJW beliefs, and you can see how they harm and exclude people. That's number one. And number two, yeah, you can take in new information. You can read new articles and studies that show whatever the conservative pundits or anti-SJWs or sometimes just Nazis like Stefan Molyneux were telling you is just simply wrong. You can learn new things and become a better person. People can self-introspect and become better people, and it doesn't necessarily have to be motivated by profit.
Or become more edgy. It's always with the wind, you know what I mean?
What?
So anyway,
H3 should come back and just start saying the hard R. It'll satisfy you.
Ethan tweeted, years ago I interviewed Jordan Peterson before I was very familiar with his politics. He was an interesting guest who I enjoyed sitting with. So right off the bat, this is just a lie. Jordan Peterson, at the time that Ethan interviewed him, was only popular for his takes on trans issues, which are definitely perceived to be controversial by people who are...
No, he did a lot more than that when he was lying about the Civil Rights Bill C-16. Instead of it, saying that it's an update and it applies to all protected classes of people, and even can apply in the opposite direction for straight white men. He tried to say that it's going to be something where if you misgender or dead name somebody that you're going to go to jail for to get fined. He whipped up an entire frenzy by got himself, pretty much famous for misinforming people about, that Canadian Bill C-16 stuff. And not to mention on the back of that, even though that's what he's most famous for, he's a very problematic person. With the stuff that he says now, he literally just quit his job because they had affirmative action program for like colored students and poor people.
More left of center. So this was literally his claim to fame. Jordan Peterson became known because of his opposition to Bill C-16 in Canada, which we can do a whole video about Bill C-16, but the long and short of it was Jordan Peterson's perspective was that people would start being fined or jailed for misgendering people, for using the wrong pronouns, and the opposite side believed it was just a bill that was to increase the human rights of trans people. That's the long and short of it. So this is what he was known for at the time.
It wasn't necessarily about trans people. It was for everybody. And he made a name on lying about the bill.
And had to have known that this is what he was known for, was controversial takes on trans issues. So this, I didn't know anything about him. First of all, you probably shouldn't be interviewing people you know nothing about. And second of all, that was the only thing people did know about him at the time. So what the f are you talking about? The truth is he was fully aware of Jordan Peterson's politics. He just wanted the massive amount of views that this interview was going to bring him, and it did. And to this day, any interview Jordan Peterson does is going to get a massive amount.
But especially now, I can see
of views. He is a very popular man. So you wanted the views, you wanted the money, but of course you don't have the integrity to say that. You're going to lie and say, well, I didn't know much about him. Girl, bye. He goes on to say, but especially now, I can see he's a dangerous gateway.
He's saying that he wasn't familiar with politics in general. A lot of people are literally, because of people like you, are like open neo-Nazis because that old school anti-SJW shit.
To alt-right.
Because y'all tacked on to things like, gaming, anime, and stuff like that. Y'all responsible for a lot of political harm that's yet to be undone.
Transphobia and COVID misinfo. I removed both interviews today. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the man who ran a podcast with Trisha Paytas is clutching his pearls over harmful speech.
Hitler can't be all bad if he had this big following.
Found out about the
I
Holocaust?
had no idea.
I really love movies and books about the Holocaust.
I don't see him hanging out with her really any nowadays.
What's the stereotype about Jews? Like, my cheap Jew boyfriend with a big nose. I don't say that.
Jewish people are cheap.
But again, he didn't care because Trisha was making him a lot of money because at
Do
the
we
time
hang
she
out with
was
her
in the
now?
public's
Do we
favor.
hang out
So
with
not
her now?
only does this condemnation of Jordan Peterson that no one asked for, by the way, like no one was trying to cancel him for it. Not only
Jordan Peterson can go fuck himself at every turn. There's not enough insults in the world for me to express my dislike and the lowness of intelligence that Jordan Peterson has.
does it make Ethan look about as spineless as a jellyfish, his attacks on Peterson are also just not valid. First of all, if Jordan
this is the part I really wanted to do this video, because this airheaded dumb bitch is gonna act like she doesn't understand how far-right talking points and right-wing politics can lead to people committing acts of violence. And I really don't like when people do this. From 2015 to 2020, there was definitely an uptick in hate crimes, and you can tell just by like looking at the news. From the Capitol attack to Charlottesville to the El Paso shooting to Dylan Roof, and you know, even like what's that one shooting that was at that school? They said the kid was a Nazi. I forget the name of it, so I won't name it. I don't believe it was the Parkland shooting. I might be wrong about that, so don't cite me on that one. But because people intake and then sometimes it's manifestos or people like Candace Owens or Lauren Southern are cited. Different media figures, especially ones on the right and far right, can inspire people to acts of violence because y'all leave enough open-endedness, like I said about Crystal Ball at the end of a sentence, where you say, oh, somebody needs to do something, and y'all motherfuckers don't be mean and vote.
Peterson is the greatest sin, if Jordan Peterson is the gateway to being alt-right or being hateful, which by the way...
no, Jordan Peterson is a Nazi. They drew the red skull repeating some of his words.
I didn't know it was 2016.
Which was funny as hell.
Like alt-right, but okay.
Yes, Jordan Peterson is a gateway to alt-right. Look at all the shit that he says. Man, and then don't give me this shit from you like you don't understand like the harm of alt-right. And you literally... about 9 or 10 months ago, you was in a debate with a Nazi harpy lady and John Doyle, and they were completely shitting on you and dehumanizing you. And now all of a sudden you gonna forget, like you don't remember how right-wing politics can be harmful. Is the money really this worth it, man? Where you gotta pretend like these politics don't harm you in any way, shape, or form as a transgender person? Like, is it really worth the money? Not to mention the fact, dude, Jordan Peterson is a terrible fucking person. I just went over a few videos where he tries to say that white privilege is not about people saying that, yes, white people sometimes get treated a little better. He tried to say white privilege is about white people feeling bad and apologizing for being white. He thinks feminism is, degeneracy. He defended Adolf Hitler in a speech earlier, talking about he just wanted to clean up his country. This dude is a right-wing ideologue. And yeah, tried to say a civil rights bill was going to get people arrested and fined for dead naming and misgendering trans people. And sparked up a whole fucking storm about it. So yeah, man, there is, he is a nice gateway into the alt-right. Not to mention even his economic philosophy. Oh, don't try to change the system. Work on yourself. And he moves his hands a lot, so brain dead motherfuckers like you think he's smart.
Someone as frankly apolitical as Jordan Peterson, because if you watch his
What? Jordan Peterson is apolitical? What the fuck is wrong with you, man? Are you serious? Jordan Peterson not only does all the other... I think it's kind of clear when he bitches and moans a lot about what socialists and other people need to stop complaining. They just need to deal with their life the way that it is. I think it's kind of clear. His political biases are kind of clear, man. Don't give me that.
He is almost always apolitical. He speaks to people on the right wing. I know that's such a scary thing. He definitely like engages with them, but his actual content.
He does more than just engage with them, girl. He doesn't just, he promotes right wing populist talking points. He promotes fascist talking points about, like I said, he literally just quit his job because he talking about the affirmative action program was letting too many colored people into the school. He constantly reaffirms and promotes right-wing talking points. I don't understand how you gonna sit up here and just like pretend that shit away.
In his lectures are almost always, with some exceptions, apolitical. The majority of what Peterson talks about is self-help, self-improvement, getting your life together, philosophies.
But when he expresses his political opinions, he expresses right-wing populist talking points.
Psychology, and he dips into politics sometimes, but to act as if that's the like whole sum of who and what he does, and then to say that it's radicalizing people or some sort of gay.
Yes, because those type of thoughts are harmful. You should not be going around telling white people that, you know, that there's a quota of, you know, black students that to get on that has to get into the college that's disadvantaging smart white people or some shit like that. That's fucking like classic like David Lane, Tom Messenger talking points. That black people are coming in and taking over schools from in you know, positions of power from white people.
Gateway, like we can just as easily say, Ethan, that you're a gateway towards what? Far leftism, communism, radicalism on the other side. Why is it only?
And this is a false equivalency, especially if we're gonna go on like the data for violence and terrorism. The right wing terrorism is at an all-time high in the United States right now, where they say that white nationalism is the greatest threat to American security, even more than ISIS. And for you to entertain this idea that people that are marching for health care or to kick Nazis out of their city is some type of equivalency, you do our veterans that fought these motherfuckers an injustice.
Only true ever of people right of center, that they're too radical. And if Jordan Peterson is a gateway towards hate, what the fuck is this?
I love saying fact.
And I want to be very clear that this was obviously done in a comedic context.
And that
I'm
was
not one
years
of those people
ago,
that thinks
dude.
that context
Come
does not matter
on.
when it comes to slurs or curse words or whatever. Obviously, he's not calling someone that. It's done in a comedic context. I'm not personally mad. But going by your own standards here, if the benign, apolitical, self-help stuff Jordan Peterson does is a gateway
Dude,
to
he
hate.
does so much political content, and you gonna sit up here, and it's not it. You don't have to do like look. Okay. Look. I hate when people do this. Let's say I have a YouTube channel, right, and I review toys. And in one of the toy reviews, I say something about Jews controlling most of the wealth. And let's say I'm a white guy, right? And I say that. No, let's say I say it, of course, every now and again, I say something like that. About the deep state and Jewish people controlling this, that, and the other, or socialism being degeneracy, or feminism trying to take masculinity out of men, or blacks coming into colleges trying to take scholarships away from whites. Eventually you will get from, you know, even though I'm a toy review channel, you will get from my mentions of my political stances that I'm a right-wing ideologue. That's not how that shit works. I'm not just because he claims to be some self-help guy while along the way promoting right-wing talking points. I'm not going to just give him a pass because you or anybody else doesn't want to. I don't know if it's like, yeah, this is just being willfully ignorant, man. That's a theme with right-wing people. You just don't want to admit when you're wrong about something or that something is happening.
Then again, how can you claim that isn't? And perhaps Ethan's apologized for this, and if so, he definitely deserves to be forgiven. However, You just can't throw stones in a glass house. Let's move on to the transphobia accusation. He said that he's a gateway to transphobia, right? He said, your mischaracterization of Bill C-16 resulted in a surge of transphobia. The bill was created to add trans people as a protected group against hate crimes. Using the wrong pronoun would not result in anyone going to jail. In fact, to this day, 0 people have gone to jail. So don't even get me started with who is responsible for a surge in transphobia, because I have a pretty long list of people that Ethan would probably consider to be political allies that are actually responsible for people becoming annoyed or hateful towards trans people. And I know he would never condemn them because they're on his side politically, because again, no concept that anyone on his side
I'm
of
going
the
to sleep after this video, man. Like,
political aisle could be doing anything wrong. Not to mention, people have been put in jail for misgendering in Canada. You have here a Canadian man jailed for calling his biologically female child
that was a court order. He wasn't supposed to say nothing.
as daughter. And is that something that's widespread? No. However, if you're going to make the claim that 0 people have been jailed for misgendering in Canada, there's one right there. So you're just factually incorrect with that as well. He also accused Jordan Peterson of spreading COVID misinfo. Let's move on to that part of the accusation. So this happened after Jordan Peterson actually defended Joe Rogan after a list of 270 doctors condemned him for COVID misinformation, which, by the way, the word misinformation is almost always code for information I don't like, by the way.
You just misinformed us into talking about the dad went to jail for no reason for misgendering his daughter or something like that because it was a male to female transition and stuff. Man, like, I'm not gonna even, dog. Like, I wanna get to the bed.
However, he was absolutely right to defend Joe Rogan because, as it turns out, only 87 of those 270 doctors were actually doctors. The list was full of consultants, veterinarians, a social worker.
It doesn't fucking matter. These are people that are in medical fields that are, because like he's making it, because it's not just their job. People, see, look, dog, let me tell you something about this pandemic shit. People like Joe Rogan and your dumbass make people's lives harder. We want people to get the vaccine. We want people to wear their mask in public. We want people to social distance and shit like that. We want to do whatever the doctors and scientists tell us to get through this pandemic. But you want to partake in these nonsense-ass conspiracy theories and play on people fear so you can make money. And that's what annoys me so much about people like you and Joe Rogan and all the rest of the motherfuckers like Tucker, from to him to Tucker Carlson and the rest of the motherfuckers on the right and far right that spread this COVID misinformation. I want things to get back to normal, but it won't get there because you telling people that, oh, the vaccine has a such and such rate of killing people or some nonsensical bullshit that is not happening. Because we could be through this pandemic. Fucking Denmark lifted all this COVID restrictions because their citizenry followed all the protocols. But we can't do that here thanks to people like you and Joe Rogan and everybody else on the right.
Podcast hosts, and some doctors, yes, but clearly it's just an attempt to slander Joe Rogan. It's just a
That's still a lot of fucking doctors. Remember, Joe Rogan is not fucking innocent. This is the same meat-headed dipshit that got on a video after he caught COVID talking about he taking ivermectin.
To say 270 doctors united against him, when in fact that's just incorrect. So Jordan Peterson was objectively correct to defend Joe Rogan in that situation. And COVID misinfo coming from Ethan Klein is pretty rich, considering he said that the protests in the summer of 2020 didn't contribute at all to COVID.
And they literally fucking did not. Because not only did I personally go to protests and saw that most people tried to social distance, they were outside and people wore masks, it just balanced out. No more people caught COVID than would have had if people would have stayed home. In fact, I feel like less people, I think I read somewhere that even less people wound up getting COVID because more people stayed home because they were in fear of the protest. Just know that at the end of the day, because of the protest in 2020, they were not causes of the spikes in the protest that raged in summer of 2020 did not contribute to the COVID surges that we saw later that year.
Which you can agree with the protest and you can be on the side of the protest, but you can't deny that in the midst of a tens of thousands of people getting in close contact
What's wrong,
in every
bitch?
major
Can't
city
say
in the country
pandemic.
didn't really affect anything. Like,
He
really?
didn't. It's research
But
out
we
there
know
to
when
show
it's
that it
politically
balanced
convenient, your side
out.
can do literally anything. We got it.
Come
So
on,
you can poke
man.
holes in Ethan's arguments all day long, as we've been doing, but what does all this really mean, right? It means, like I said, first of all, he is afraid of his own woke audience canceling him, so he's trying to, in my opinion, get ahead of it and condemning him and saying, look, I don't actually support Jordan Peterson anymore, please don't cancel me, which, again, spineless. And I have to just say, on a human level, Jordan Peterson didn't deserve this. He didn't deserve these attacks from Ethan. Jordan Peterson, from everything
Jordan
I
Peterson deserves a lot more than he's getting out of this from the ideological harm that he's caused to so many people. Because there's so many young kids that are young Nazis because them hearing his rhetoric.
see seems like a genuinely
And they have people like you to come up for plausible deniability.
very nice man who helps a lot of people and has changed a lot of people's lives
For
for
the
the better.
worse.
There's a huge problem in society, and people have to have such blinders on to ever see someone like Jordan Peterson as extreme. It's the same as people who call me.
What the fuck is wrong with you, dog? Like, just because somebody, it's like this. Let me tell you something. Ideologues are not going to necessarily be these loud, hype, overactive people and stuff like that. It's different type of ideologues. Take you, for instance, or Brittany Venti, or Lauren Southern, or Jordan Peterson, or Ben Shapiro, or Steven Crowder. Far-right ideologues come in many different genders, shapes, forms, tones of voice, and styles. Just because he's quiet, he pretends to be smart and moves his hands around a lot, does not mean that he's he's harmless. Just because how he carries himself. It's not about how he carries himself. It's about the things that he promotes. And lady, I can say the same for you. You're a very harmful person because you selectively lie and are a good scapegoat for the right wing to deny, to help them deny that they're bigoted when they do nothing but try to pass legislation to harm trans people.
Far right. I did a stream with Joe Rogan on Timcast a few months ago, and I think it was Vice
Tim ass.
wrote an article calling me far right. If you think, I'm going to speak in third person and kind of just invoke the sort of like public perception there is of me, like the sort of public figure version of my being, right? If you think Blaire White is far right, you have an extremely childlike.
That's right. You're libertarian left, and you looked it up, forgot to close the tab, and then I think like you copied and pasted the picture of the like this motherfucker's stupid, dog. You didn't even have the nerve to close the tab, and you showed that you are libertarian right when your real result was libertarian left. Ain't nobody stupid.
View, an ignorant view of the actual opinions people on the actual far right hold. If you think I'm far right or Jordan Peterson is extreme, like you have no clue.
You can be trans and still be a Nazi.
And that's okay if you don't have any clue, but stop slandering people because you don't have a clue. So moving on to his attacks on
to be
Joe
clear,
Rogan.
I don't think Blaire White is a Nazi. I think she's just a useful idiot, too fascist and right-wing populist.
And so Joe, as of late, has been hosting doctors on his podcast and having questions and conversations about
And
vaccines.
recently one of them made a fool out of him.
That honestly are just not questions and conversations you see in mainstream media, which unfortunately is the lens and the standards by which most people see the world. So he's had Dr. Robert Malone on, who is a virologist and the chief architect of the mRNA technology,
No, he's not.
as well as cardiologist Peter McCullough, and he's having conversations, he's asking questions. The gist, if you watch Joe Rogan's show, you would know that he doesn't claim to
I
be
don't
any
think
sort
at
of
this point it's just like about COVID misinformation. It's not asking questions anymore. All your questions get answered by the authorities that research and study, this medicine and research and study the pandemic, like the CDC. But what people like you and Joe Rogan try to do is find any little thing you can to promote a conspiracy theory about the vaccine not working or people still dying after they took the vaccine, or people getting sick after they took the vaccine, or how masks don't work, or how we should just burn it off, or how there's alternative medicine like ivermectin and all this other shit. That's what y'all do. Y'all try to find, y'all ask questions so y'all can like find the littlest fucking thing that you can think of, that you can find, and be like, oh, look at this little thing that the CDC didn't mention, and then they add it, or it's already been talked about, and then you find some other shit to lie about.
Expert on vaccines or viruses or anything. He simply asked questions. In fact, I went to one of his shows recently here in Austin, and he opened up by saying how stupid it was that people really saw him as some sort of health expert, that you have to be an idiot to take health advice from him, because he isn't an expert. He's simply having conversations, which
he's the largest media figure, I feel like, on the planet, I heard, or at least, on Spotify and probably on YouTube. And it's like, probably not on YouTube, but at least on Spotify. And it's like, him entertaining these conspiracy theories are very dangerous, because it's people that see Joe Rogan as an authority figure, and it's his responsibility to promote real information, to people, so we can weather this pandemic, and not do what I just said earlier, try to find, what about this little thing I read somewhere about it getting you sick, or what about this other little thing I read, and this other little thing I read. Doing shit like that is harmful, and it's slowing down our progress. Again, Denmark has completely ended COVID restrictions, but we can't do that because we can't even get people to take the vaccines.
in a sane world should be allowed. Joe has never once told people to not get vaccinated. And we talked about this even when I was on his show. He's never told anyone that. He simply said that
You don't
each
have to
individual...
say that. You don't have to say that. It's implied. It's implied. He literally had a fool made out of him a few weeks ago, where this guy had to go on there and show him that, what is it called, myocarditis or some shit like that. Like, you're more likely to develop, health problems unvaccinated than you are with the vaccine.
Person should have the freedom and autonomy to make their own decisions about their own bodies and health based on their own risk-benefit analysis, which again...
Dude, that's like saying that you don't want to get the smallpox vaccine, and you're going to walk around being the only stupid motherfucker with red spots. And because you and your dumbass family didn't get the smallpox vaccine, it could possibly mutate and be reintroduced into the population. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for making personal decisions about yourself. What restaurant do you want to eat at? What flag do you want in your house? Do you want to skate or ride BMX? Do you want to wear a shirt or a hoodie? But when it comes to things that are causing physical, material harm to the world, that's where me and many other people draw the line.
Sane world would not be radical, would not be something people should be attacking anyone for, right? He's always advocated, talk to your doctor and do what's right for you. In the meantime, I have questions. Questions should not be a sin. Questions should not be censored. We are living in a very terrifying
like
time.
I just said a few minutes ago, y'all ask enough y'all ask questions because, like I said, number one, you trying to leave enough wiggle room to throw in a conspiracy theory about the vaccine being harmful or ineffective. And then if you ain't doing that, you asking questions so you can find, oh yeah, look, I got this one article I found about, the vaccine is it does this, it does that, and I found this. And then, like I said, the CDC probably already has research for it, or will study that and add it, and then you go looking for some other shit to lie about. So it's like a never-ending thing. Y'all always gonna be asking questions. That's the problem.
When you are not allowed to question things. So Ethan, who has in the past begged Joe to do his podcast, which is so typical of these very woke creators, by the way, I have a list of about 10 to 20 people who are on that sort of side of the YouTube sphere who have in the past asked me multiple times to come on their channel, work with...
No, what they want to do is debate you because you do stuff like this, or you act airheaded, stupid. You like I said, you leave wiggle room for conspiracy theories. you select special data, you lie about stuff, misrepresent people, and act airheaded like earlier about how you not knowing how Jordan Peterson's white nationalist talking points can or cannot lead to somebody becoming a Nazi, and they want you to come on there so they can talk to you about a lot of the dumb shit that you say.
Them, kiss my ass, whatever, and then 6 months later have an I hate Blaire White video. Typical behavior of these little chihuahuas that want to bite at people's ankles, and then you can't. So his attacks on Joe went as followed. Joe Rogan, who lives on elk meat, egg yolk, and human growth hormone with lungs full of tar, thinks he's healthier than everyone. First of all, that's like something a 5-year-old would say. You think you're healthier than everyone. He's never said anything as stupid as that. Maybe that's how your brain perceives it because you might be stupid, Ethan. Elk meat is healthy. Egg yolk is healthy. And human growth hormone, he talked about being on TRT, he talked about taking hormones. I take hormones. I'm a very healthy person.
Completely different kind of hormones. There's a difference between taking hormones because you're transitioning and stuff, and then it's taking hormones for like strengths and muscle size. Those are two completely different things.
And men, trans women, trans men. Something tells me that if he were criticizing me, he wouldn't include my use of hormones in the attacks on me.
Because it wouldn't be necessary and it'd come off as transphobic. That's why he wouldn't bother. Two different kinds of hormones for two different reasons.
So why would you do it to Joe? Why is it okay for someone like me to be on hormones but not Joe? And the implication
he didn't say it wasn't okay. He was just making fun of him.
Elk meat and egg yolk is unhealthy. Like, what do you live on? Dairy Queen and chicken nuggets? Joe Rogan doesn't think he's healthier than everyone, but anyone with a set of 2 working eyes could see he's much healthier than you, Ethan. And if you think
it doesn't fucking matter, that's not the point. The point being is why the left is sympathizing with Ethan Klein is because it's not about them being physically healthier. It's about Ethan Klein being smarter.
Think that sounds mean? Why is it mean when people question Ethan's health but not mean when they question Joe's? Is it because Ethan really is unhealthy and y'all know in your heart that Joe isn't?
It's because people don't have a heart for people that promote COVID misinformation.
Exactly. And who gives a shit if Ethan is unhealthy? I don't care what he eats. I don't care how he lives his life. His lifestyle has no effect on me. However, again, you cannot throw rocks in a glass house. And I'm not taking health advice from either Joe Rogan or Ethan Klein because neither one of them are my doctor. However, if I had to pick one of them to be my doctor, it would definitely not be this one. He went on to say, this MFer is such a bitch that when he got COVID, he threw the kitchen sink at it. If you're so healthy, just write it out like you say a man should. Again, he's never said that. He's never said that.
Yes, he has.
He's never said anything as stupid.
Yes, he has. In fact, Joe Rogan was such a little bitch that during the beginning of the pandemic, he was acting like, oh, man, it's not that bad. You know how you get all close to, oh, it's not going to be that bad, man. It's not going to be that bad. But every time he had a visitor come over, he had his studio crew scrub down and disinfect the studio.
But as men should ride out COVID. It's like there's a filter on Ethan's brain that he can only perceive like the most childlike caricatures of people he's beefing with. And should we constitute what Ethan is saying here as COVID misinfo? Because vaccinated or not, when you do contract COVID or any sickness, a common cold, you are supposed to throw the kitchen sink at it. You're supposed
to. No, you're not. If you get a cold or if you get COVID, you shouldn't take no goddamn horse dewormer. Let me tell you that right now, dog. Like, I had COVID before. You know, I'm vaccinated now. You know, I got vaccinated so I can go to this Bad Religion show. And it's like, you don't throw the kitchen sink at it. You do what the doctor tells you to do. You don't get COVID and then go taking ivermectin and all this other dumb bullshit or these oils that Alex Jones sell. You do what the doctor tells you to do. Because it's like, do you want to get better or do you want to make shit worse?
Take vitamin D, zinc, vitamin C, eat healthy. Like,
completely
why is that
different? That's not throwing the kitchen sink at it. That's doing what the doctor tells you to do, because that's what the doctor gave me. Like, the lady gave me, vitamin C, zinc, I think vitamin D, and some sinus pills. And of course some pain medication and stuff for the headaches and stuff I was having. That's completely different than taking ivermectin.
That's something to attack someone about. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? For you to demonize throwing in the kitchen sink and taking vitamins, like, are you putting people at risk, Ethan? Are people gonna read your tweets and think that it's a bad idea to take vitamins when they're sick with anything, by the way? And tar in his lungs, Joe doesn't smoke cigarettes. And if it's a dig about smoking weed, then we're demonizing weed too? Like, what is wrong with you? List of things Ethan Klein has no concept of: eating healthy, smoking weed, taking vitamins. Good to know. What this all really comes down to is I genuinely feel bad for anyone, especially like kids who are watching Ethan Klein or reading his tweets and thinking in any way that this guy knows what the fuck he's talking about almost anything. Because I haven't seen one thing in all the tweets I've read for him, one even like small aspect of what he says that has any validity or truth behind it. You almost have to try this hard to be wrong. Like, a normal person is like accidentally wrong about things. Ethan is almost intentionally like, I'm just gonna pick the...
Yeah, you're a selective liar. The last motherfucker that need to be talking about people being wrong.
worst possible takes. I'm going to say the exact opposite of what is true, and I'm going to completely mischaracterize everyone. And honestly, when exactly did it become the standard that rather than countering someone's speech, debunking them, proving them wrong, when did that switch to actually we have to silence our opponent's speech?
And we do. We do debunk the dumb shit y'all see on the right and far right, but then y'all come up with some other dumbass thing, and it's like a never-ending cycle. And then even if you are proven wrong and given new information, you will keep saying the same thing. So don't give me this 2016 SJW, they don't want to debate bullshit. Because people have debated y'all on many different subjects, whether we talking COVID, race relations, trans rights, and y'all lose. Every fucking time. Y'all the ones that run away from debates.
We have to censor them. We have to erase them. We have to pretend as if they didn't say it rather than say something back to them. What you're really doing is actually proving that your ideas, your opinions, and your stances have no merit whatsoever. They can't stand up on their own.
But they do have merit. They do. They always do. They all look. So you tell, cause this is what right wingers do, man. Y'all selectively lie about shit. Like this girl is acting like she don't know that. Like y'all get y'all Breitbart articles and one time somebody on theirs got sick from the COVID vaccine versus all the overwhelming medical data and statistics that say that the vaccine is safe, healthy, and effective. And once y'all are presented new information, all that dumb shit y'all say get debunked. Y'all sit up here and get mad like, oh, we don't want to debate anymore. We shouldn't engage. Oh, like your ass said earlier. Like this woman was just like, oh, these people are asking me to come on her channel to work with them. No, those are people that want to debate you. But you're running from them. Because once you get into a conversation with the average leftist debater on YouTube, all your talking points fall apart.
Honestly, Jordan Peterson is not the smartest person on the planet. Joe Rogan is not the healthiest person on the planet.
They both stupid.
But Jordan Peterson is smarter than Ethan Klein, and Joe Rogan is healthier than Ethan Klein.
Jordan Peterson is not smart, period. And I doubt that even Joe Rogan is healthy.
And that's on period. Love you guys. Make sure you subscribe to this channel as well.
I want to go home and I'm